infer that the crocodile hasn't had to make any changes because its habitat hasn't changed. So let's put that into a sentence that uses the word adaptation. The crocodile has not had to adapt. The crocodile has not had to adapt because, what does the author say? Because, keep reading, because its body is well adapted to its river habitat. So the crocodile hasn't had to change because it's already well adapted. You don't have to adapt if you're already well adapted to do all these things. You only need to adapt if you're having difficulty staying alive or finding food or escaping danger. But the crocodile is already doing quite well. It might be also because the crocodile is a very big, dangerous animal in the river, and it's a predator to the other animals in the river. So it is the danger. Yeah. Let's take a look at the last two captions, and then we're going to think about what this text is primarily about. So over here on the right, we see the river goat, or the mountain goat. A mountain goat's foot has a hard covering called a hoof. Each hoof is split and has a rubbery bottom to give the goat a secure grip on uneven, rocky ground. So, why might the mountain goat have adapted to have this specialized hoof? Which thing on our list? What are you thinking?
To adjust their to hot or cold temperature.
So we don't know anything about the temperature of the habitat of the mountain goat. All we know is about the uneven rocky ground. So we know something about the habitat. What can we hypothesize about the habitat? We don't know anything about their young. We don't even know if this mountain goat has young. All we know is that perhaps it didn't used to be rocky. So it has this particular terrain that's rocky and hard. And so it needs a foot that can be safe in that. And you're right that that might be important for protecting young so they have a good stable ground and they can chase after anybody who's trying to get at their young. We don't know that. What are you thinking in the back? It's good thinking, maybe.
Yeah.
And those hoofs might also allow them to move around safely to find food. All right? We have one last one. Many animals, such as horses, dogs, and cats, are domesticated. Domesticated is a word that maybe you haven't heard before. These animals depend on people for food and shelter. Some domesticated animals, such as cattle, have adapted so well to human care that they can no longer survive in the wild. Based on what the author is saying here, what can you infer that the word domesticated means? A domesticated animal?
I don't know. I think that would mean
3, 2, 1. I'm going to call on someone else and come back. Okay? Jade?
I think it means that. I think it means home animals.
Yeah, so a domestic animal is an animal that's cared for typically by humans. And sometimes animals become so domesticated they can't survive in the wild. because they need people to help take care of them, to provide them with food, to make sure that they're healthy. All right? And so one adaptation that these animals made, it's maybe not a good adaptation because they suddenly depend on other people to help keep them alive. Isn't that interesting to think about? So we have 2 tasks before we finish today. There's 2 key words in this text so far. One is habitat and one is adapt. And one way for us to really get keywords locked into our brain is to put them in our own words. So I want you to, at the bottom of this page, use your pen, or pencil, sorry, and on one side I want you to write habitat, right here, and on the second side I want you to write adapt. And in that white space below each where you have room to write, I want you to put a definition for these words in your own words. You can use the text to give you some clues. Once you've provided an answer here, once you've given it a go on your own, I want you to turn and talk to your partner about how you put the word, define the word habitat in your own words, and how you define the word adapt in your own words. Give it a go first on your own. Do some thinking on your own before you talk with your partner. You might start with a habitat is, or to adapt is. I see some good thinking, Commodores. If you've given it a go, you should be talking to to your talk partner.
Josh, that's why you don't sit back there. Thank you. Miss Scott, is this vocabulary thing, was that intentional, or did you do that after you realized that you didn't know where? So, because when I was taking notes, I thought, okay, when I do this, I should preview this.
I would start with those 2 words.
But actually, like, this is actually, if we're focusing on having them go back to the text to make those inferences, like, do you think it would be better to preview it? Or?
I don't know. I mean, you could give it a go and then we can compare.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a good question. I think it's up for grabs. Because it's a nice assessment now.
Right.
But like, for the kids who were on this, they've been more hooked.
Right.
That's the part that is a struggle for me.
Okay, Commodores, we only have 2 minutes, so let's come back together. We have 2 key words, habitat and adapt. Let's first start with habitat. What is a habitat? Oh, a new hand. I see lots of the same hands. What is a habitat? Track your classmate. Good. I'm going to erase this. We'll come back to this tomorrow. And if you don't have this written on your paper, you might want to make a record of this so that tomorrow when we come to talk about this word, habitat, you have a reference so you can look at that definition. Can you repeat what you said? A habitat is a home for a person or animal. And actually we'll later learn that a habitat is also a home for a plant. So all living things have a habitat, a place where they survive.
The ground is the ground.
The plant is the ground. I'm not sure what that
The
means.
habitats, the plant's habitat is the ground.
Some plants' habitat is the ground, but some plants live in the ocean.
Some of them have some houses.
Jesse.
Our second word that we need to lock into our brains is adapt. Who has a definition for adapt?
Oh. Adapt is to change.
To adapt is to change. Try and talk to the person next to you and tell them what habitat means and adapt means.
Adapt Let's make them know how to become. When you take a skin, they're blind.
All right, Commodores, 3, 2, 1. Try with me. I'm waiting for 2 Commodores. Waiting for 1 Commodore. Fantastic. So this paper, which has your writing on it, we are going to need tomorrow. So you need to put it in your science folder or binder or a safe spot so that
Centers folder.
you put it in your centers folder so that when we come back to talk tomorrow, you can return to the same text. All right? Or do you want them on the rug?
No, they can go.
You can go back to your seats.
In zone 0, take out your homework folders.
I should probably start.